The most powerful Desmos trick is the regression symbol. Do you know everything that it can do? Let's find out. In the given system of equations, k and m are constants. The system has a solution of 48 over 37, comma y. What is the value of k? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to teach you how to use these parentheses. On Desmos, they're known as lists. So when we set, let's say, a in the first parentheses, and we put 8 in here, that means a equals 8. Pretty simple. So a equals 8. If we put a comma and we put a different thing next to the a, and we do the same for the 8, let's say we put 9, then we get a equals 8 and b equals 9. Hopefully that's pretty clear. Here's what we want to do. We know that 9kx plus 11my equals 24. So we're going to put the first part of the equation on the first list. This is definitely not the way your math teacher would like you to do this question, but I'm not here to show you that. I'm here to show you the fastest way. Okay, perfect. So now we have these two. All we need to do is Desmos just doesn't like when x and y are in the list. So we need to change every single x to x1, every single y to y1 by typing a 1 directly after the x and y. It automatically goes to the subscript. And see how it solves for k and m for us? Now, what is the value of k? This value of k right here is actually not the right value of k because we want to make sure that x is equal to this solution right here. So in this case, x has to equal 48 over 37. But since we substituted x1 for x, just change this into an x1. And now we get the correct value for k because we plugged in the correct value for x. So let me write that down. Now I know that there are ways to do this by hand, but honestly, this Desmos way is pretty simple. So just do it this way. You're just using regression. The goal is to use regression on every single question. All right. If a is greater than 0, x squared plus y squared equals a, and xy equals a minus 12, what is x plus y whole squared in terms of a? We get these four. Again, we're using the list one more time. So we're doing a pretty similar question to last time in terms of we're using the list. So anytime you have like, I would consider this almost a system of equations because you have two different equations. Now it's not exactly a system of equations. There are three variables here, but just work with me. You'll see what I mean. Also, I do know that there is for specifically for this question, there is an easier way to do this by hand, but I want to show you both ways for this question. All right. So x plus y squared equals a, so that's why we put it there. Xy equals a minus 12. Perfect. Let's change everything to x1 and y1. Nice. So we got A is equal to 24. All we need to do is figure out what x1 plus y1 whole squared is. Plus y1. And then square that. It's 48. Again, we're using x1 and y1 because that's what we substituted for x and y here to make the regression work. Desmos doesn't like when you have x and y in the regression. Okay, now enter all of your four answer choices into four separate lines. And what you're going to see is since a is equal to 24, a minus 24 is 0. 2a minus 12. You know what? Let's speed this up. Let's duplicate. By the way, you duplicate set by clicking settings and then duplicate. Okay. 24 and then 24, 3a. There's only one of these answer choices that equals x plus y squared. Since x plus y squared equals 48 and 3a minus 24 also equals 48, D is your answer. Again, we used a list and we used regression. I realized after recording this entire video, I didn't show you the fast solution to this question. So x plus y squared is just x squared plus 2xy plus y squared if you just distribute everything. So then that can be grouped as this, right? And you know what x plus y squared is in terms of a, because it's just a. It says it right there. Plus 2, and you know what x plus y, x times y is, because it's just a minus 12. And make sure you put the parentheses, right? A plus 2a minus 24, 3a minus 24. So that's another way you can get your answer. Let's move on. Which of the following expressions has a factor of x plus 2b, where b is a positive integer constant? All right. There's a really good chance that this one's on your SAT. Just letting you know. I mean, there's a really good chance any of these are on your SAT, but especially this one. I've seen this one a lot. Okay. All you have to recognize here is if you look at the answer choices, what's common about this, about all of the answer choices? They all have 3x squared. They all have 16b. Meaning, this has to be 3x, this has to be 8. Why? Because the first term then multiplies out to 3x squared, and the last term, when you FOIL everything out, is plus 16b, because 2b times 8, 16b. And that's exactly what it looks like here. Perfect. Don't even distribute this. You don't even need to do that. 3x squared. Right now, I'm going to type in the first answer choice. (16b). And then tilde. Again, we're using regression for every single one of these. If you don't know when to use regression, whenever you have multiple unknowns, try to use regression. Like, for example, we have X and B. I would consider those like unknowns. Like if you have multiple variables, use regression. Okay, I seem like I typed everything in right. And now we're going to switch everything to x1 by typing a 1 directly after the x. We don't need to change the b at all because Desmos doesn't care. All right, perfect. Now we're going to duplicate this a few times. And instead of this one was answer choice A, right? Because we did 8x. Let's change this to 23x. And let's just go down the list. 29 and what is this? 38. And do you see how here B is 0, B is 2.5 here, B is 3.5 here, and B is 5 here. We need a positive integer constant, meaning it has to be a whole number, and it has to be positive. So the only one that is a positive integer constant is 5, meaning D is your correct answer. Do you see how easy that was? We're just using regression. That's it. Okay, this is a crazy one. The function f is defined by f of x equals a times all of that. I'm not going to read it. Where a, j, and k are negative constants. In the xy plane, the graph of y equals f of x passes through the points 15, 300, and 3, 420. What is the value of 2 f of 7 minus f of negative 5? How do we even do this? Well, there's a Desmos way, and there's actually a lot simpler of a way to do it by hand. So I'm going to show you both. So do you remember how you can do plus table and then add in points? Well, this is the regression that you might know. This is a lot more common for students to know, where you can, press this button. But well, we don't want to do any of that. We actually want to do our own custom regression. So here's how we do a custom regression. Enter in the function that you want. So we're going to type in all of this right now. X minus 5. Okay, perfect. And now we are going to duplicate this and save it for later. I'm going to show you why in a second. But let's change all of these x's to x1s, just like we did it in the beginning with the lists. X1. And then instead of f of x, we're going to change this to y because we want to use the y1 from the table, right? That's why we're doing x1 and y1. So y1. And all we need to do is delete this regression or tilde. That's what it's called. That's what the sign's called. Okay. So by doing this, by saving this equation, um, like by duplicating it, we don't need to type it out again. But all of these variables are now stored as whatever Desmos calculated them as right here. So we can actually find what f of 7 is. And we see that f of 7 is 420. And since we're looking for 2 times f of 7 minus f of negative 5, 540. That's how we get our answer using regression. Let's recap real fast. Table, enter the points. Custom regression by entering this entire equation, replacing all the x's with x1s, replacing all the 1y, like the f of x, with a y1, right? And then replacing the equal sign with a tilde. And then writing the equation one more time, defining it as f of x is important. You define it as f of x, so then you can do f of 7 and f of negative 5. Otherwise, Desmos doesn't know what you mean when you say f of 7. Like, what is f of x? The much easier way to solve this question is You just need to be able to see it. F of 15 is equal to f of -5, and f of 3 is equal to f of 7. If you know why these two are true for this equation, comment it down below. Because we're not going to spend time figuring out why in this video. F of x is equal to 250 times b to the power of x. When x increases by 1, f of x increases by c%. Which of the following expresses c in terms of b? We have our four answer choices. All right, so we are going to do this pretty similarly to this last question because we are going to add another table. And this time we are actually going to make our own points. So based off of only that information, go ahead and see if you can solve this on your own. All right, so the first point that we want to do is something really simple. Let's say for x, let's plug in 0. That's a really simple point. And we want to follow whatever f of x the question gives us. So b to the power of 0, this is just going to be equal to 1, right? So it's going to be 250 times 1, which is just 250. 250. All right. And then when x increases by 1, so increase x by 1, f of x increases by c%. So y increases by c%. We want to increase 250 by c%. Anytime you take a percent increase of a number, you first take the percent of the number and then you add the number back, right? So like 10% increase of 100 is 10% of 100 plus the 100. You have to add it back. Otherwise, it's not going to be an increase. So let's do C%. And don't worry, we're going to add a slider for C. We're going to define C. C% and just literally type percent. You don't need to do anything complicated with this. And then add 250. So this line right here is a C% increase of 250. Just add a slider for C by typing C equals 5, and then if you click out, just gives you a slider. Okay, perfect. You can set C to anything because it doesn't say it has to be like I guess, yeah, it doesn't say it has to be a positive anything. From here, just add your custom regression. So this was your equation, right? Instead of f of x, we're going to write y equals 250 times b to the power of x. Just make this x1, make this y1, tilde. And it solves for b for you. Perfect. Since it solved for b for you, and since you've defined what c is, let's say c is 6. I'm going to show you that this works for any value of c that you set. All of these answer choices is in form of c equals. So if we put this right side into here, and then let's do that for every single answer choice. 3b divided by 100. And b minus 1, no, b plus 1. And then duplicate this just to save a little bit of time. Okay. Do you see how each of these have values? Because all of these are equal to C, right? Or they should be equal to C. But only one of them is, which is our correct answer choice, D. Do you see how, let me put this down here so it's easier to see. Do you see how this one is the only one that is equal to C? And here's what we can do to even prove that if Desmos is going to cooperate. Okay. See how we're sliding the slider? And the only answer choice that is C every single time is this fourth one, right? We can slide the slider any way we want. Our answer is D. Okay. In the given equation, J and K are positive constants. The product of the solutions to the given equation is A, J, K, where A is a constant. What is the value of A? Okay. This one, I can't honestly say that it's completely a regression because you do just have to memorize this formula. You have to memorize the product of the solutions. So for any quadratic, basically ax squared plus bx plus c, it has to be in standard form like this. The product of the solution is always going to be c over a. So it's going to be this n term divided by the coefficient in front of the x squared. Basically the c over a. And then the sum of the solutions is going to be negative b over a. Don't forget these. Memorize these before your test because there's a good chance that you're going to see at least one question testing one of these two on your next SAT, right? So in this case, we need C over A. What is the C term? It's JK. What is the A term? 65. And this is equal to the product that we are given from here. I've seen a lot of smart students mess up. So just do it on Desmos. Just put it into Desmos and do a regression. This is the regression part that I'm talking about. This is why I included this question in this video. Do you see how it solves for A for you? And put the A down here, right? And then use this fraction button. And you see that it's 1 over 65. You could have totally done this by hand by dividing by JK, but I see a lot of smart students like find it difficult to divide by another fraction. Just don't worry about any of that. You have Desmos. You have a calculator on your math test. Use the calculator, right? There's no shame in that. 1 over 65. I don't know why I outlined that. That looks horrible. Okay, that's the value of A. Hopefully you are liking the video so far because this question is has nothing to do with regressions, but I thought I'd show you because I think this is so underground. I don't know. I didn't have another word. Underground. We're gonna go with that. So there's a standard deviation function on Desmos. That's what I'm trying to show you right now. And then if you click the settings and duplicate this, right, because these two are pretty similar, just change this into an H. And all of these are exactly one greater. That's what I've noticed. You can actually calculate the standard deviation for any set of data. Right. And then we just added a slider for H. Put in these three values for your slider. And before we even do that, let's make it real clear and organized. This is set A, right? Because it says data set A. And then this is going to be data set B. All right. Now, when h is 16, because it says which of the following could be value of h. When h is 16, data set A, again, let's keep this real organized. Data set A is greater than data set B because 7 is greater than 5.63. How about 21? Well, these are the exact same. By the way, if you don't know what standard deviation means, it means how far spread apart the data is from the mean. That's like a quick little definition. So you can even eyeball this stuff. But I'm going to show you the way to do it on Desmos right now. 22, that means that A is less than B. If the standard deviation of dataset A is greater than the standard deviation of dataset B. So when is A greater than B? Only at 16, when H is equal to 16. So your answer is going to be A, 1 only. Nice. I like this video. I think regressions are super important. Like it's super powerful in your SAT. I know that your SAT is very soon. I would wish you good luck, but I know you don't need luck. I'm rooting for you. Bye-bye.